I became a great friend of animals and birds by Georgy Orlov.
One day, I was walking along the forest towards the Volga, shifting a heavy basket from one hand to another. At the bottom of the basket were lying the grouse I had caught earlier. Of course, they got injured while they were being chased. I was taking them to the forester to show him my proud catch. I was very happy to get the grouse without using any gunfire. When I came closer to the forester's house, I became more excited. Once I show him the grouse, he'll go green with envy, I thought. Suddenly, a hawk swished by overhead and, like lightning, struck the poor starling that was singing on the bird box on the roof of the forester's house, clutched it between its sharp claws, and soared up into the sky. Its mate, hearing its last cry, came fluttering out of the bird box and soared up to the clouds, and then dropped downwards like a stone. Its mournful cry echoed in the forest. But the cruel hawk did not leave the starling. I felt sorry for the starling, which was left behind with her young ones. But it was too late to help. And then an idea suddenly crossed my mind. It's a pity I was too late to help the starlings. But just think how many animals and birds there are still in the world which need my help. I said to myself. I stopped and put my basket down on the ground. I was so lost in thought that I even broke into a sweat. I thought, I have always done good to all my fellows, but it is not enough. I must do a lot more now. I then bowed low to the ground, and it was as though a load had fallen off my shoulders. I lifted the cover of the basket and looked at the grouse lying there, tied up and hardly breathing. I took them out, untied them, bathed their wounds, got some brown bread out of my knapsack, and fed the birds, cursing myself all the while. In what way are you better than a hawk? Well, it is a bird of prey, so you expect it to kill birds. But you are a human being. What are you famous for? I said to myself. For thinking of new ways of hunting, right? For killing nature's creatures, right? What wonderful things to be famous for! If I had a gun at that time, I would have smashed it. So, instead of going to the forester, I turned back and brought home the injured grouse. My wife and I soon put them on their feet again. Home became a better place for them for running about and clucking. A week later, I went off for a holiday and took them with me. I took them to the glade I found them in and put them in the same birch branches, fed them for the last time from the palm of my hands, and wished them a long, happy life. What's a bird, you may ask? Why, it's just a ball of feathers. Not at all. It is a noble soul. Flying from one tree to another, the grouse accompanied me all the way to Lake Astrakhanka, brushed my shoulder with their wings to say goodbye, and flew away. Good luck to you, dear friends, said I to them. We have a saying, if you swim across to the other side of the Volga, then you'll become clever. So it was with me, not the first time, but certainly in the end. I realized my mistake and vowed that I would never aim a gun at animals or birds again. And by doing so, I would be able to make up for all the harm I had done them. It was already lunchtime when I reached Kuvshinka. My friends had already gone off to their rooms to rest and sleep. Not being used to taking an afternoon nap, I did not know what to do with myself. But as the old folks say, there's no point sitting about. You only get your coat creased. So I took a rod and went off to the lake. It was a hot, sunny day, and everything seemed to be drooping in the blazing sun. Even the noisy willows had grown still and were waiting for the cool evening breeze. I cast my line, dipped my feet into the water, and happily relaxed. I saw a mother duck clucking and calling to its offspring. Then a family of ducks came swimming in a single file like soldiers. Then suddenly a shadow fell on me. Looking up, I caught sight of a kite with its wing already shut, drooping like a stone on the ducklings. I pulled the line out of the water, swung it round, and caught the kite's wings with a hook. It was a powerful bird, and it soared up so fast that it threw me right across the willow. And maybe it is still flying along with the rod, warning the other birds of what might happen to them. As I lay there on my back, my body aching all over from the fall, I suddenly felt as though a cold coin had been pressed against my arm. I sat up and opened my eyes. I saw it was a hedgehog prodding my arm with his moist nose and pricking me gently with its prickles. Seeing that I had noticed him, it went down the slope. Since he was injured, I went after him so that I could help him, and I saw a large beheaded adder. It seemed that the hedgehog wanted to tell me what had happened there, but before it could, it buried its nose in the ground and closed its eyes. But I still got the message. A snake's poison is not lethal for hedgehogs. I remember my father once telling me. I picked it up and cleaned the wounds on its stomach. The forest, certainly has the best remedies, and they are all close at hand. I picked up a long silky blade of grass, took a sharp pine, and sewed up his stomach, so it was left with a neat seam which looked like the work of an expert dressmaker. Then I gave the hedgehog birch juice to drink and put him down under the shade. It curled up like a ball and slept. So here was another good deed that I had done. It did not seem so hard after all. All you needed was goodwill, a kind heart, and an able pair of hands. The hedgehog's wound healed in 7 days. By then, he and I had become good friends, thick as thieves we were. When I went fishing, I'd find him already waiting for me there. He'd sit down beside me and gaze or close his eyes and sleep. I could hear his heart beating. Knock, knock. We especially enjoyed strolling in the woods. The hedgehog ran ahead, showing me the way, and I followed him. He knew the woods like his own needles. He would take me to the loveliest beauty spots. One day, we went deep into the woods. The hedgehog showed me the way and I followed him, picking mushrooms and ripe raspberries. All of a sudden, he stopped and stood on his hind legs, listening and pointing his nose this way and that. I started wondering what was going to happen. Then he stood for a while longer and then waved his paw and ran off. I hurried after him, the branches of trees cutting my face. While we were running up a slope, I heard a faint, mosquito-like whine. Soon, the mosquito whine sounded more and more like a bear roaring. Usually, I don't get scared. But when I saw the trees around me shaking and the leaves dropping off, my legs began to shake too. Whether I was frightened or not, I hadn't the time to decide. I ran after the hedgehog. Suddenly, I spotted a bear cub hanging down from a crevice high up in a cracked pine tree which had been struck down during a storm. He was howling. I stopped feeling tired as soon as I saw the cub and suddenly felt strong like an ox. I rushed to the tree and split the tree down to its roots. The cub dropped down onto the ground crying. I picked him up and stroked his ears. I thought that if he had a little sleep, he'd forget all about it. But he cried, and there was no stopping it. I tried to pat him, but he just cried even louder, and tears came rolling down his face in two streams. After some time, he stopped crying. Then the cub and I climbed onto the dry ground. Then I thought to myself, well, you rescued the duckling and you've got the cub out of trouble. That means you have done something good for your friends. I felt very happy. I noted that one has only to start doing a good thing and it at once leads to another good one, like paths in a forest. All you have to do is to keep your eyes open.